Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. And today I'm going to be reviewing a film titled For Spaceship on Venus. So I figured review this because I need to review more sci-fi movies anyway. As always, I do need to talk about the plot, so let's get into it, shall we? Oh yeah. The film starts off in a year where these engineers involved in this project of theirs to pretty much go to this particular desert, but they had accidentally uncovered this mysterious and strange artifact, and when found to be made from strange material unknown on Earth, this particular item is linked to some explosion that came off way back when, I should say decades earlier. This particular thing is used as evidence to that particular explosion, which originally was blamed on a meteorite, was actually caused by a spaceship. The professor character does link this to the alien craft, which must have come from Venus. This item itself is determined to be some sort of odd device from space. Of course, something does need to be done here, folks. This particular thing, folks, this item was partly decoded by an international team of scientists, which is led by this other professor and this doctor. When the radio greetings sent to Venus go unanswered, of course, something must be done. They announce a journey must be taken to the planet Venus, and it's for some odd reason that's somehow Earth's only alternative to give some direct answers, of course. And here's the thing, folks, the more recent completed Soviet spaceship, this aircraft, which was intended to voyage to Mars, is now redirected to Venus. Now there's this 30-day trip. During this particular voyage, one of the characters is furiously to translate the alien language, this message that's on this disc, using the ship's computer, and it's really cryptic, of course. I'm reviewing the American version of this film, folks. So yeah, during the period of time in which a lot of filmmakers in America were fascinated by going in outer space, and so yeah, in different countries around the world were doing pretty much the same thing in a lot of ways, and this is one of those prime examples. So I'm reviewing the English dubbed version of this film, and if you ask me, folks, overall extremely mediocre, I guess you can say. There's nothing particularly great about this film overall. I guess that's one of the complaints I can say about this film, is that it's just not that great of a film. Granted, it's not the worst I've seen. I've seen films that were far worse than this. Oh boy, trust me, folks. There are films out there I've seen that were far worse. To give you a good example of what I'm saying here, folks, compare this film to this one. Oh boy. I did review that film a while back, and it was definitely one of those shittiest horror films I've ever seen. This one, folks, is just mediocre. It's not that great of a film, nor is not the worst. I mean, granted, I've seen better sci-fi films in the past. Sure, yeah, there's definitely better films I've seen, folks. So yeah, I didn't like how it was done, really, folks. I did not like how this film was delivered, actually. I can say the dubbing is pretty poor. I did not like the dubbing. Oh boy, the dubbing is really wretched. Really wretched at all. So again, I am reviewing the American version of this film, so I don't know how much of the actual plot was translated into the American English dubbed version. So it's not so thrilling. It's pretty dull, actually. So this version of the film is pretty boring. Really boring. Which is not surprising. Even some of the better Godzilla films, some of the really good Godzilla films were translated into a different format in a lot of ways. And those films, those foreign films, were less thrilling in the American versions, but the Japanese versions are far superior. So yeah, of course, the actual versions of these foreign films will be better, of course. At least for the Godzilla films, anyway. But for this film, I don't know. I don't know how much of the actual version is better, but I can only give you an opinion of this version. So yeah, the dub isn't too good, really. The story itself isn't too interesting. It has trouble holding your interest for quite a while. So I would say skip this one, folks. This one wasn't particularly good, really. I like certain aspects of the film. Some of the camera angles were pretty good. Some of the stuff is not that bad. I mean, the story itself isn't exactly terrible, I guess you can say. I just didn't like how this film was done. It's sloppy. The editing is very, very sloppy. And so, yeah, a good chunk of the film was removed, I guess you can say. I don't know how much of the film was removed. But I can only, again, I can only tell you an opinion of this version, I guess you can say. So yeah, the film is supposed to have a full of mysteries and wonder and whatnot. So which is fine if you ask me, folks. But I just didn't care for this film all that much, really. Yeah, it's a low budget film, folks. It's a very very low budget film. However, just the way it was handled in this version of the film, I didn't care for. Some of the acting was pretty okay, I guess. Some of the acting was pretty decent. The special effects were decent, I guess.
Yeah, here we go again. Me talking about something that's really low budget, really old. And yeah, I know this is not exactly the typical thing that a lot of people talk about, but I don't mind it really. Yeah, this movie, the picture quality, the it just looks like it was something that was they got ripped off from a VHS tape kind of a thing. Yes, it does look like that in the actual DVD release. And But yeah, I just couldn't find a movie DVD with a higher quality picture, I guess. But in some ways, I kind of don't mind it. It does give it its own little charm, I guess. I do like the environment that the characters are in, which does look pretty cool in its own little way. So I guess it doesn't uh, bug me like most people would be bothered with it, I guess.
Judging from the time period in which this was released, I can say the story itself does contain some good ideas, and the plot does seem to race along with the timing, so the pace isn't too bad, I suppose. But I know that a good chunk of the footage was removed for the American version, and again, I'm not sure how much footage was removed because I have not seen the original version of this film, so I can't really tell you really. Of course, of course I can't really give you a proper judgment on that. The sound effects aren't very good. The sound effects in this version of the film aren't very good and very unappealing. So because of that, the bad sound effects and the bad dubbing can be really distracting. Oh boy. But anyway, generally speaking, the special effects are pretty good, judging from the time period in which it was in. The spaceship itself, however, is nice to look at. I did like the design of the spaceship. A lot of the miniature work was nicely done. And those are nice, cool scenes, I guess you can say. So, the other scenes involving indoors were pretty good. I like the scenes that involved inside the ship. The scenes involving inside the ship were nicely done, I can tell you that. Yeah, some of the scenery, some of the sets that were used for this film were very creative or were very imaginative. I can tell you that, so that's pretty good right there. So I can't complain too much, I guess. The music itself is pretty forgettable, I guess you can say, folks. I did not like the music that was used for this film. So I guess I would say check it out if you have nothing else to do, I guess. But anyway, this film, this version anyway, for Spaceship on Venus, it gets an overall rating of 5.0 out of 10. It gets a 5.0 out of 10 from me. As always, thank you for watching and take care. See ya.